I don't want to play Uno just for fun. If you're gonna sit at the table and play Uno with me, then, and we just having fun, just go somewhere else. Cause I'm playing to win. I'm not trying to be cute. I'm not trying. Oh, good job. No, I'm trying to win.
It's a game.
No,
it's a game.
And a game has rules. Why? So that at the end of the game, there's a winner and there's a loser. Well, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Growing in Love podcast. My name is Austin.
I'm Brea Smith.
And we're back at it for episode 4.
Which is crazy.
Episode 4.
Episode 4. God is good.
He is good. I sound like I've been screaming.
Yeah.
You know.
Sounds a lot better now, though, because
a
couple of days ago,
sound like
you
the
didn't
Batman.
have a voice.
Sound like the Dark Knight. Where is he? Where is he?
But you just keep talking. You keep talking. You've had 2 speaking engagements.
Mm-hmm.
What, yesterday? 1 today, 1 yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
You know, but we just out here trusting God.
Out here trusting God.
Well, we're excited to be back with you guys on this episode. We're going to be talking about something I think that's going to be really applicable to a lot of people, especially in social media land. We're talking about unrealistic expectations in marriage. Mm-hmm. That could get really spicy.
It can. There's a lot that goes into that topic. But before we get into that topic, we are going to ask the question that we've been asking at the beginning of every podcast episode. And that is, what are you growing through? What are you growing through / what are you going through? So, babe, I'm going to let you kick off.
You going to let me
round.
go first this time?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Right now, I think just growing through getting some mini projects done. Mm-hmm. And just thinking through stuff for next year or 2024, wanting to get a couple things done and revamp some stuff for myself when it comes to speaking. Yeah. Just like mini projects, you know.
Yeah.
Realizing I can't do everything in one day, though. You know.
Yes.
So,
yes.
But also pushing myself. I think that's another thing. Just like, it's easy to be like, oh, you know, you need a rest. And that is good, right? Yeah, I think rest is good. But also realizing that, like, some things aren't going to get done until you just do it.
Yeah, don't be complacent.
Yeah, you can't just, like, oh, yeah, I'll get to it. I'll get to it. And before you know it, it's March. And before you know it, then it's June. It's like, oh, I'll just do it next year.
Yeah. So,
you know, just pushing myself and just working on a couple of things I'm excited about. So,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Mine is kind of similar, and I think it's just because it is. So right now, today, it is December 29th, I believe, December 30th. So it is almost 2024. And around this time is usually when everybody is thinking about their New Year's goals and their resolutions. And I've really just been doing a lot of reflecting on the past year and seeing, okay, well, did I reach the goals that I set for myself in 2023? And if I think about it, I don't think I really set a lot of goals in 2023 for myself. I think because this year, so much has happened in the past like 2 to 3 years, 2020, 2021, and 2022, where I was just like, you know what, God, I really don't know what this year is about to hold. But I just want to show it for myself. And I don't know, like, from October to now, so much has happened. And I think I've been asking myself, like, why did I wait till October to start doing things that are forcing me to grow, like to get out of my comfort zone and really to start showing up for myself? And how much further could I have been if I would have done this at the beginning of 2023? But what I'm growing through right now is just allowing myself grace, like giving myself grace. Like, you made it through this year. Like, God has graced you through this year. And yeah, you may have started in October, but at least you started. And it's okay to start. And don't put so much pressure on yourselves to be at a certain place at a certain time. Like, God is the author of time. So yeah, you have time, but you have to do it. Like as long as you start and you continue, like if it's a everyday thing, if you do a little bit every day, eventually you will get to where you are supposed to go. So just like you were saying, you feel like you have a lot of things to do. I feel like God is calling us to a lot of different things in 2024, but I'm allowing God to set the pace this
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times we try to just go as fast as possible, but one thing that I've learned is I want to be able to sustain everything that God has given me,
Yeah.
and not to grow unhealthy, but to grow healthy. And I think that's allowing God to develop you throughout the process. So, yeah, just giving myself grace, allowing God to set the pace, and not putting pressure on myself to do things in a certain time.
Yeah.
Because you just never know what God wants to do through you. And I have learned that God knows best.
He does.
Like, the older you get, the more you realize, like, listen, I may not know everything, but I know that God knows. And so if I could just trust and lean into God, I'll be okay. We're going to be all right.
That's the word.
We going to be all right. Y'all, God is still gracing me through music as well. So that is something else that I'm growing through. A lot of people don't want to be transparent, especially Christian or believers. I don't listen to Maverick City every day. I also do know that there's a lot in music, especially nowadays. So you have to be very careful. But that is something that God is gracing me through. Just had to add that in there. So, yeah.
You were funny.
Has to be real with the people.
I feel you. Well, speaking of real, I think this one's going to get real. I'm excited to talk about this one because you recently had a comment on your TikTok. First of all, your TikTok has been like hibachi.
Hibachi?
When you go to the Japanese restaurant and they cook in front of you,
yeah,
like the fire volcano, it'd be like on,
wow,
like cooking.
I mean, is that a good thing?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good thing.
Okay.
But nah, you're doing your big one on TikTok right now.
Okay.
Got to give you your flowers.
Thanks.
You said that once you start to get like consistent on it,
yeah,
you really believe that God was gonna breathe on it, and He has.
Yeah.
Excuse me. If y'all hear me coughing in this episode again,
right.
Forgive me.
It's
But
right.
But on one of your videos, someone had asked this question because you had posted something about me planning, right? Mm-hmm. And they ask you, what prayer did you pray for this man? Mm-hmm. So you want to give like context for people who haven't seen the video, and then kind of go into, because I think it's a good segue on where we're going
to the expectations.
With this conversation.
That makes sense. So the TikTok that Austin is referring to is a TikTok where I show just kind of like a snippet of his office where he pretty much has planned out, just his expectations for the year and just goals for him and our family. And I love that Austin does this. He's been doing this for a while too. Just the planner in him and just being able to truly lead our family in that way and to hear from God is very important. But I did not know that the video was going to get that much traction. And I realized that a lot of people are just really wanting their person to lead, whether they are in a relationship with someone that they're married to and they want them and they desire their husband to lead, or if they aren't married and that's just something that they are expecting from their person, which I get it. Having your husband lead, especially as a man of God, is very important for your household. And that is the structure that God has intended for a godly marriage, right? However, in that video, I made a follow-up video to that, to the comment that was asked, which was, what prayer did you pray? And I think that's funny, but I realize that some people do think that, like, people think that, oh, well, they must have prayed some type of prayer to have this man. And one, I'll just say this for one, too. It is also this type of thing where people think that a man is like a reward for people who are doing certain things in the kingdom. One, I don't think a man is a reward. I didn't pray any type of prayer. I just kind of trusted God in the situation. But one thing that I said in that video was that I believe that one of the most simplest things that you can do is ask God for discernment so that you know who the person is when He sends them, right? You should be able to, you should ask God for discernment for that, because there's going to be a lot of people who try to come into your life, and people who may even have a relationship with God. But just because somebody has a relationship with God doesn't mean that that is your person, right? There was other people that I used to date too that also had a relationship with God, but they were not my person. So that just cannot be the standard, right? If you have a relationship with God, that can't be the standard. If somebody comes to you and they're like, hey, can we go to church? That just cannot be the standard. But I think you really just have to ask the Holy Spirit to lead you when it comes to your husband. You know, ask him for discernment, ask him to lead you when it comes to your relationship, ask for grace through the relationship, because a lot of people think that your person is going to come perfectly packaged the way that you think that he should come. And he's not going to come that way. A lot of times he won't. And, you know, in our situation, we got married very young. So
Yeah.
at 23 and 24, there was a lot of things that God really had to show us. God had to show my husband how to lead. He didn't come knowing how to lead in a marriage. He's never been married before. How can he come into a relationship knowing how to lead? Especially at the age of 23, God had to really show him that, and he had to allow God to lead him in that way, and to allow God to transform him and his mind, right? And I had to do the same thing. As a woman, you also have to ask God for the grace to let your husband lead, because there's a lot of women who are very independent who, even if God gave you a man who knew how to lead, now you have to go back and be like, okay, well, God, give me the grace so that I can actually submit to someone who is a leader. Because if you are also like an alpha female and you have been independent for so long, now you may have to ask God, listen, I need your help with this, okay? You sent me a man that knows how to lead. Now, help me to submit to this man. So I think that's very important. But when it comes to expectations in marriage, honey, what were some of the expectations that you had when you first got married, since we did get married so young?
First of all, you spitting gems.
What?
Yeah, you gotta start to slow down.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you be just like drumline.
Not drumline. That's a classic.
It is. One band.
One sound.
There we go. But when it comes to you said expectations. Sorry,
Yes.
I just be
You're fine.
be everywhere.
All right. It's
When
real.
you said expectations,
What were your expectations when you first got married? If you can remember them. I know it's a
Yeah.
long time ago. It's about 7 years ago now. But
hey, we not that old. Chill, chill, because Nigerian Maury tried to come for us.
I can't.
Well, I think first, man, like it's crazy that we got married at 24 and 23. Like looking back now, there's been some people that I mentored who are 24 and 23. So to think like, man, like to make a life decision like that at that age,
Right.
I was like, wow.
When your brain isn't even fully developed.
Yeah, scientifically, I think what they say, the man's brain doesn't develop until 25.
25.
So I made a life decision with an undeveloped brain. So, but I still
That
believe,
sounds crazy.
right. I still think it was a great decision.
Yes. That's what happens when you allow God to lead you, okay? Because
Well, you know, I think God led, but I think also, you know, I wanted to get married.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
And you had this excitement, you had this zeal, and you, to our point with these expectations, you know, you think like, oh, you're getting married, so as a guy, listen, sex every night. You know, that's
Okay, so expectation 1.
you know,
We know what you were expecting.
and that's not the only thing, right?
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
But it was
That's a real one.
it's a real one.
That's a real one.
I think also that you just will like understand that person because y'all were dating. Like we dated 2.5 years,
Right.
so it's just like, oh yeah, like I already know them. Like
You're like, oh, this is my longest relationship, 2.5 years. Oh, I know him.
right,
Girl,
listen,
you know how much more you're going to have to learn? You're going to be learning for a lifetime. Okay?
yeah. I think when you stop learning, then that's when you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Or your desire to stop learning that person, that's when you get in trouble. So I think that was a thing too, like
Yeah.
not understanding the weight of communication, just thinking that, oh, like you just know them.
Yeah.
So I think those would be like 2 that I can think off the top of my head.
Yeah. I know for me, I think as a woman, I've always desired to be in a loving relationship. I've always desired to be married just because my parents have been married for 32 years. And I've seen their relationship, which was obviously not perfect because no relationship is perfect, but they have just shown me so much love and how I've just seen good, healthy love from the both of them. And so, I think I've always just wanted to be married. Like, I'm like, oh, I love the idea of marriage. It's going to be amazing, wonderful. This is a person I get to spend, a lifetime with and travel with and do all these things. And you just think about all the happy times.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think how many times did I really think about the, not even the negative side, but just like the hardships that come with the marriage. And I don't think that I truly thought about that because I think that especially, like I think Instagram had just came out when we were getting married, and a lot of people just didn't show that transparent side of marriage.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You see the weddings, which people get very excited about, but nobody really shows you the behind the scenes of marriage. And so I think my expectations was just like, oh, this is gonna be great. I finally found a man of God. So this relationship,
The man of God.
the man of God. I'm like, this relationship is going to be great. Like, we're not going to argue.
Yeah, we both love Jesus.
We both love Jesus. And although this is a great relationship, I didn't realize how many things that we were going to go through that would shake me to my core. I didn't realize how much marriage would teach me about myself.
Yeah.
Because I think I went into the marriage thinking like, oh, like, girl, you are a catch. Okay. You cute. You love Jesus. You know how to pray. You like to cook. You like to clean. Like, you're a catch. There's nothing you really have to change. In marriage.
Wakes you up. Yeah.
Marriage will show you you got to think about it. You're going into a relationship with someone that you're going to see on a daily basis. You're going to see every side of them. So not just the sides that you saw in dating. And we also did not stay with each other. Before we got married. Like we did a little while, but I moved back home. But we never really got to truly see how each other was when we were like to live with each other.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. You don't think about all the small things that you still have to get through.
Yeah.
And the fact that you are two different people. Like, yes, you love God, I love God, but we're still two different individuals. So we're not going to think the same about everything. He's not going to respond the same. Just because I know him and I love him doesn't mean that sometimes I feel like I would expect him to respond the same way that I would.
Slow down, woman of God.
And that just does not happen. And when he didn't respond the same way that I would, then I was like, oh, well, something's wrong.
Yeah, because you like that was a big thing where there's a frustration because I think sometimes you think I was just supposed to like read your mind and vice versa.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not just like on you.
Yeah.
But like, when you first get married, people are always saying like, you ask questions like, hey, like what's the secret? And the most consistent response that people have given and continue to give when we meet people, like even when we travel, we see like an older couple in the elevator, be like, yo, what's the secret? Been married 50 years. Communication. Now, like when you say communication, like to talk to someone, like is not enough. Like as far as communication, you have to know like it's not enough. Let me say it like this. It's not enough to say something. Like you got to be able to, that person has to be able to hear what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like
healthy communication that is received.
Yeah. And and to understand, there's a lot of nuance of it. Like, because I can hear you, but I can also hear you through my own filter. I can hear you through my own trauma.
Yeah.
I can hear you like, we can kind of share on this. Like I know a lot of times when we first got married, I heard through like a filter of like being on guard and being defensive. So like when you would like try to say something, because if you know Brea, her family is like super passionate. When they get excited about something, they be talking mad loud. Like, all right, y'all. Like, especially like her dad gonna watch, so he gonna laugh. But
it's
like
my dad.
Dad, when he gets excited, he just be like,
he just be real excited, real passionate, like
real passionate. And like she would do that too, but I would take that as like, oh, you're like
coming for you.
You're coming at me. I'm like, yo, like calm down. But when you have the wrong filter,
Mm-hmm.
whatever your filter is, that's what's going to be what you could be getting like true genuine love, true genuine help,
Yep.
true like I'm trying to like my intent, and that's something I think we should talk about too in this
Oh yeah.
conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But my intent
Intention.
is
Mm-hmm.
to help you. I'm not trying to come for you.
Mm-hmm.
We're on the same team, and that's
Yep.
something that I think we had a that'd be if I added like some more of expectations. It was like an unsaid expectation, like that I had to like prove myself as a husband. Um,
Mm-hmm.
in the marriage. So like there was a lot of competition
In the
um
beginning stages, yeah,
in our
there
beginning
was.
stages. But just like like communication, understanding like how what's the best way to communicate with your spouse. I would
Mm-hmm.
even add, and we can just flow how we flowing, but I would even add another unrealistic expectation. For me, like I saw marriage at first as just like, all right, you date, get engaged, get married,
That's it.
you did it. Now that
Now,
sounds
what else happens
that sounds
after that?
crazy, right? But it's just like in the context of church, people make it seem like marriage is the end all be all.
Mm-hmm.
So that like once you get married, it's just like, all right, we're good now. Like
Yeah.
there's like you've arrived. When in actuality, it's actually a new
Just the
beginning.
beginning. Mm-hmm.
It's an ending to yourself and a new beginning to you together with your wife, with your husband, but then also um, individually who Austin is as a married man.
Yeah.
So like when it comes to, before, I just go about just doing what I need to do. Schedule. This is my schedule. Boom, boom, boom. Like I be at the house. Okay, cool. Like whatever.
Yeah.
Got married is like, oh, you going out again? Yeah. What you mean? Oh, okay. You okay? Mm-hmm. And like not knowing like that meant like, Negro, you need to be home. Like, oh, we good? Oh yeah, yeah, we good. And like good doesn't mean like we're good. Good means like that's a code word. Like again, communication, like understanding like,
Yeah.
hey, we need to talk. But also not being passive in the communication when you need to
Yeah.
talk. You know what I'm
And I was
saying?
gonna say, and that's something on me because a lot of times in the beginning I would just be like, "Yeah, sure. Are you okay? I'm okay."
Lying.
When, and I think that's important because when it comes to communication, you can't be afraid to have conversations that are uncomfortable because in the uncomfortable conversations you'll be able to grow.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. I think sometimes even when your expectation, oh, I'm always going to be like the apple of his eye. He's not going to see anybody else but me because we married now. And I think sometimes you forget that your spouse is still human.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's still a human being. He's still a man at the end of the day. Like he's still going to find people attractive. That's hard. You're not the only person that he sees every single day. I'm like, that's hard. So yeah, I think that's another unrealistic expectation that you are going to have to cover your husband. You're going to have to pray with them. There are going to be certain things that you're going to have to talk about, like that may be uncomfortable, and that is okay. If you can get through those uncomfortable conversations, if you can learn more about each other, if you can figure out ways to cover your husband and fight for him spiritually and vice versa, and not be like, ooh, just being so selfish in the mindset, but have a mindset that, listen, we're fighting and we're in this together.
Yeah.
This is not just me versus you. This is one. This is literally one.
Yeah.
So if you succeed, we're succeeding together.
Yeah.
If you're suffering or if you're battling with something spiritually, then I'm going to help you. I'm not going to blame you, or I'm not going to, label you from what you've done. I'm going to fight with you.
Yeah.
And that has been something that at the beginning stages of marriage has been hard because I'm like, oh, you struggle with lust? You struggle with pornography? Like, how could you do this to me? Like, I've been doing this, I've been doing that, instead of being like, and then God had to check me and be like, no, y'all are struggling with pornography. Y'all are struggling with lust. If this is something that your husband is struggling with, you need to pray for him so that y'all can break this together. It is no longer, oh, this is something that your husband is dealing with. No, y'all are dealing with this together because you're married now. This is a covenant together. So whatever he's struggling with, so are you. And that's something that you're going to have to learn to fight together. I put you two together because you are stronger together. You can fight better together. If you get out the mindset that, it's just it's you versus you, yeah, your marriage will not last. But when you learn how to fight together, when you start seeing this thing as, listen, this is the option. We're going to do this thing. Like, there is no other option. Then your marriage is going to be so much healthier, because instead of fighting, you're going to learn how to resolve every situation together. So yeah, that's really been something that has truly changed my mindset about how to approach any type of argument, any type of disagreement, any type of thing that I realize, like, even if you're struggling, there's been times where, maybe you've lost a job and you've been struggling mentally with that. Just how to approach that from a loving and a graceful way. Because a woman, you are naturally a nurturer, and it is great to be able to lean into the natural given role that God has given you as a woman, and not feel like you have to attack someone or call them out their name, or, just learning how to fight together and having that mentality that we are both in this together
Yeah.
through everything.
Yeah, no, I love where we are right now when it comes to talking about like fighting together, because again, like I just remember, man, we used to just get in some dumb arguments,
Lord.
because it just be like, I remember we tried to be, like, when we first had our YouTube channel, and you try to be like a Christian couple on YouTube. One, like we were too young, like some people are like y'all probably still too young, whatever. But anyways, like we just got married, right? So, sometimes like I don't know, in church culture, just Christian social culture, whatever I'm trying to say, like we just make things weird. But I remember when we used to try to like study the Bible together, and we try to be cute with it, and we sit at the table. Well, we didn't have no table. We sat at the couch. But we would like, so what'd you get? And you like share, what you got. And then like, she'd be like, well, what'd you get? And it wasn't even about like, what did God speak to you? It's like, let me see how much more I know than you. So that way, like, I feel better about myself. And that sounds
Which
like
is crazy.
It sounds cringe now saying it in a microphone.
But that's real.
But it's real, because the thing that I wanted to bring up when it comes to like why I think people fight against each other versus with each other, I think a part of that is, unrealistic expectation, or just like just talking in general. Like before you get married, who you are individually, like when you don't deal with that, that comes into the marriage as well.
Yeah.
So I know you said like, well, when it's your thing, it's like our thing now. Cool. I love that. Right. And I still believe that like there's some things individually that you have to say, hey, I got to take accountability.
Yeah.
Like I can't be selfish. Hey, I can't, that abandonment that I dealt with, like when I was single, or dealing with rejection, or dealing with whatever your thing is, like if you don't deal with that, what marriage does is it highlights those blind spots that you say, oh, I'll just subdue it. I won't worry about it. And that person, your spouse, your wife, your husband, they will highlight that.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
see it.
They're going to see it, and you have no choice. If you don't deal with it, it will deal with you both. It will deal with you both. And
So good.
I think that's a thing where it's just like, for me, let me make it practical. Like when it comes to competition, listen, Brea will tell you I'm one of the most competitive people that you'll meet. I don't want to play Uno just for fun. If you're gonna sit at the table and play Uno with me, then, and we just having fun, just go somewhere else. Because I'm playing to win. When we went bowling, and we used to go to, can we take it back real quick?
Sure.
When we first started dating, we lived in Rock Hill, this place called Rock Hill, South Carolina. Shout out to Rock Hill. We went to this place called Strikers, and they used to have Quarter Mania on Thursdays. Now we went for the deal, but we also probably went because we didn't have no money. But anyways,
Facts.
what you do is they pay like a $5 cover charge, and then the rest of your games was like a quarter. Great deal. But anyways, when we went bowling, I'm not trying to be cute. I'm not trying. Oh, good job. No, I'm trying to win.
It's a game.
No,
It's a game.
And a game has rules. Why? So that at the end of the game, there's a winner and there's a loser. And I'm not trying to lose. Now, here's the thing. I mean, we're joking, but I'm being for real too. But when it comes to competition, when competition is the rhythm for your life, and you compete in everything, you bring that individual heart, that rhythm into your marriage as well. And like with marriage, what I've seen it's like almost like two trains that are now they were going into a direction individually. And now you say, hey, we're going to get off our separate tracks and we're going to join the track together. So collision is like it's a part of the package of marriage. Like collision not being necessarily a bad thing, but the two becoming one, that's a collision.
Yeah.
So now, like how you used to do things versus how I do things, it doesn't mean that your way was right or wrong or my way was wrong. It just means that was our way of doing things.
Yeah.
So instead of seeing it like that, I'm seeing it as like, oh no, you trying to up me, like so. And it's wild because at the end of the day, excuse me, like understanding intention.
Yeah.
Like how childish would it be to be like every time I'm trying to comfort my wife, why'd y'all get married?
Yeah.
No,
that's true. And I think another thing I've had to learn is that like when it comes to stuff like that is, I've told you this before too, you don't have to prove anything to me, right? Like I've already chose you.
Oh my.
Like
glory to God.
Period. Like that's it.
Amen.
So the fact that you would feel, it used to offend me, the fact that you felt like you still had to prove yourself to me, because when I took those vows, like I took them very seriously. Like this is us together. The only thing, it's not like you're having to prove anything to me. It's just that we have to learn how to work together. We have to learn how to do this together. So I just always, and this is why I said the other day when it came to some of our goals for 2024, I said before any type of discussion, not argument, but any type of, disagreement or whatever, I want us to set our intentions before we have a discussion. Because the other day we had gotten into something, heated fellowship.
Shout out to Mom B.
And in the middle of you telling me how you felt, because you came downstairs and you said that you had prayed to God or you were studying, and I don't know how you felt about the disagreement that we had, but I feel like you felt some type of way about it. So
I was going to drag it out.
Yeah. Okay.
I was ready to be Petty Paul that day. Ready.
So instead of sitting in your flesh, you actually went to God and kind of sought his counsel on it.
Keep going, but I just want people to realize this wasn't like 3 years ago. This was like recent.
This was like a week ago.
Yeah, this is recent.
So you sought God on it, and instead of being petty about it, you came downstairs and you confronted me about it. But I like the way that you approached me, because you just started telling me how you felt. Yeah. You're like, listen, I don't like how this went down. This really hurt my feelings. And I was going to stay petty about it, but God really did convict me on it. And you were right. And, I hate that term, you are right, because I'm like, well, we're not competing against each other. I don't want to be right. I'm just trying to figure out how to solve this situation. But I remember in the middle of you telling me how you felt, you said, I love you. I was so heated when he was talking, because I was like, I felt like this is not true. Like, why do you keep feeling that way? Like, I've never tried to make you feel that way. But when you told me, but I love you, something broke in me immediately, because I'm like, it doesn't matter how I felt in that moment. His intention was out of love. It's like, this is how I felt, but at the end of the day, I love you. And I'm like, when you set your intentions before any type of situation, you realize that the argument is not to attack each other. It's because at the end of the day, at the core of this conversation, I love you. And I want to figure this thing out. So I said, you know what, for 2024, we're going to set the intentions of our conversations first, so that whatever guard may have been built up, whatever the enemy is trying to do, is already going to be canceled, because now everything that we're speaking is out of the intention of love. And we are making that known to each other. So yeah.
No, I think that's good, because I think a lot of times people experience disappointment in life or also in relationships because of unsaid expectations or just like not knowing the intention.
Yeah.
So like when I had a personal expectation or something that I thought that you were supposed to meet, you know what I'm saying, and you don't meet that, then yeah, you know,
Sorry.
no, you good. But what was I saying? Oh, when the expectation is not met, then of course disappointment comes with that, right?
Right. And I think another thing is, because I
Yeah.
know we're going longer than
Yeah.
normal,
We
but
good.
when it comes to expectations, it's not always bad to have an expectation. I do believe that people should have a standard when it comes to, especially when it comes to the person that you are going to marry.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, you should have things that you're going to expect. I think when you go into a relationship, and it starts to go into unrealistic expectations, I think you have to ask yourself, is this something that is this something that I am providing? If you're expecting something out of a relationship that you cannot even fulfill,
800 credit score, 6 figures.
maybe, maybe that's not something that you should expect from someone. But I think out of everything when it comes to marriage, your expectation should be at the core values of who somebody is. Because those are the things that are really going to allow your relationship and your marriage to last and be healthy. So coming into marriage, my expectation was that Austin was going to respect me, right? And he has. So I think a respect is a really good one. I think, somebody who does not give up. When me and Austin were married, I had this unhealthy habit of leaving anytime something got rough, right?
And that was new because I was like, I never seen that.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, I'm like, where you
Yeah,
going?
you're like, where you going? I'm like, listen,
Better get back in this house.
I'm going looking. Listen, I could do bad by myself. I will leave.
Here's the
this
funny thing
house.
about you leaving. Like, where you going? Because you don't be driving nowhere. I drive everywhere.
He really tried to come for me. So.
Because she gonna have to look at the GPS to see where she going to drive.
Listen, I used to be like walking around the parking lot. You know when you say you going somewhere, but you ain't really going nowhere. You just.
It's like when we were little, talking about I'm about to move.
I'm running away from home.
I'm gonna pack my suitcase.
Where are you going? You don't have enough snacks to make it down the street. Where are you going?
You can't remember the.
Shut up. But that was a real thing. But when we were dating, Austin used to be like, "You're not going anywhere. Like, you know, we're this is it. Like, we're gonna work this thing out." But I love that because in my mind, I was just like, all my other relationships, guys were just so quick to like, just, all right, you're gonna leave. That's cool. They call me the next day, you know. But it was you. It was just like, no, like, where are you going?
And that's why I'm on the couch.
We're going to figure this thing out. And so my expectation was in marriage, I don't want someone who is going to allow me to, or who's just going to give up easily. Like, I want somebody who's in the long haul.
But and I don't mind this episode going a little longer because I think we're at it's a good sweet spot right now because like that characteristic is important.
Yeah.
Because in marriage, like you have this, again, we're talking about unrealistic expectations. You know, life is just going to be good. It's like you're always going to have to listen.
Life be lifing.
Life be lifing. We have had job loss. We have had sick children. We have had the unexpected happen. Just
COVID.
Yeah, COVID. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
We've gone through a lot.
Or even when we met each other, the careers that we had. Like, I never thought you were going to be a pastor when I met you.
Me either. So
you got to think about it. You can't just be. I remember our old pastor's wife told us that she was like, you can't just be called to who a person is right now. You have to be called to who a person is going to be.
Yeah.
And that's real.
Yeah.
But your expectations also just can't be focused on the now. Because if it's a lifetime thing, things are going to change. This person is going to change. You're going to have to learn how to adapt to this person. So if your expectations are based off of where somebody is currently, you may not want to get married.
Yeah.
Things may change. He may be a millionaire right now. Tomorrow, he could lose it all. Are you still going to be willing to stay with someone?
Jesus.
Like,
tomorrow?
Hopefully. Listen, it happens. It can happen.
Nah. And that's why I was saying, like, with the, like, being someone who, like, doesn't quit.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like.
Yep.
And again, like, that's a different conversation. I think some things people do need to quit. But in the right context, in this context.
Yeah.
How you do some things is how you do everything. So I think that's important. I think for me, just a realistic expectation, someone that I could grow with, someone that I could and I've been consistent in saying this, I always wanted to marry someone who met me at my beginning, like who loved Austin for Austin. Like, don't love me when I'm making money and everything is going well.
Right.
And like, you know, oh, ooh, hey, how are you? Like, I want you to love me like when I didn't know, when I was frustrated in my career, when I wasn't making money, you know, when I wasn't always confident in who I was and my voice. Like, love me in that place.
You know how I know that God needs to deliver me from music? Because the first song that I thought about when you said that was Mike Jones. Back then, they don't want me. Now, they don't want me.
You're a child, but I love you.
Because that's real. Listen.
That's not a bad song.
Oh, I love the song. Listen, it's playing in my head. Back then, they didn't want me.
You're so horrible.
I'm for real. That's a real song because back then they didn't want them.
They didn't want me. Nobody wanted me. You just picked me up off the side of the road.
No, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about.
Then who you talking about?
No, Mike Jones.
Who's Mike? No, it's fine. I know who Mike Jones is.
Y'all, every time I laugh, I cry. Like, if it's a good laugh, I will cry. I will cry all the makeup off of my face. So let me just stop.
Yeah, face about to be looking like like a mud.
And it's getting late.
Like a mudslide.
When it gets late, I just get very silly. So, but this is real. We're on my couch.
Anyways, the point was, I wanted you. My expectations was
you didn't want to be a Mike Jones.
I did not want to be a Mike Jones. I wanted somebody who could,
I get it,
who could grow with me through it all.
Yeah,
through it.
Yeah, I get it.
But you know, one thing I am thankful for about our relationship, that we both balance each other out.
Yes,
because I grew up in church. You didn't grow up in church. Sometimes Brea is very serious. I'm the goofy one. Sometimes I'm more serious. She's the goofy one. You know, sometimes, man, you just need someone like who you can laugh with, who you can.
Stop laughing at me. I'm trying to evaporate my tears. I'm not crying, y'all. I'm just happy.
I love it. I love it. Okay. Well, I think.
Where are we? This is what happens when we just start talking.
Well, no, we're this is good. We've talked about, again, why it's important to have expectations.
Okay.
We talked about when those expectations become unrealistic.
Right.
And, you know, is there anything that you think that we need to touch on more when it comes to this conversation? I mean, there's a lot that you can talk about in this conversation, but I don't think this is a one-time conversation.
Yeah, me too. No, I think we covered some good things.
Well, let me ask you this question before we land the plane.
And we can make it engaging for the audience.
Yeah. We
don't know what our audience's expectations was.
Yeah.
So let us know what your expectations are when it comes to marriage. If you are not married and you desire to be married. And if you are married, what were some of your expectations before you got married?
Yeah, drop those in the comment section.
Some of your unrealistic expectations that you're like, I thought this was going to happen, but didn't really happen. But God is good anyway.
I want to ask a question, and maybe this is how we can land the plane. You are sitting with 23-year-old Brea.
Oh, my God.
She's about to get married.
This is going to be very deep.
Don't interrupt my question.
Okay, I'm sorry.
You're sitting with 23-year-old Brea. She's about to get married. What is a word of wisdom that you want to give to her when it comes to the things that you know now? I know we just did a whole episode. Yes. But I was talking specifically.
I'm going to just keep it short and sweet, right? Because I think sometimes we overcomplicate things. If I was 23, you can't overcomplicate things for me anyways. Because remember, my brain is not yet fully developed. So I think my biggest thing was just to make room for grace in your relationship. You're going to have to give your husband grace. And you're going to also have to learn how to receive grace for yourself. So, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Make room for grace.
You're not going to ask me?
Oh, yes. What 24-year-old Austin on a plane, what would you say to him?
You have nothing to prove.
That's good.
Excuse me.
That's good.
You have nothing to prove.
Listen, you can drop the mic right there.
You have nothing to prove.
Not even in marriage, in life, you have nothing to prove. That's
Yeah.
good.
I mean, because when you live that, I'm gonna start preaching. So never mind. Yep.
You have nothing to prove.
You have nothing to prove, and I can't stop coughing. So
Yeah. Well, we thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Growing in Love podcast. We are so happy that you decided to join us. And if you have made it this far, then you are a true.
yes.
What should we call the people who watch us?
No, yeah, we have to think through that.
Yeah, okay.
It can't be anything corny.
Right.
But anyways, thank you for tuning in. Please share this episode with someone. Like, comment, share.
Subscribe on YouTube.
Tweet, subscribe, all the things. All the things.
Wow. We're going to bed.
Love y'all.